Hello and welcome to another episode of Get the Gist podcast, where we delve into the stories of industry leaders shaping the future. I'm your host, Chandan Goswami, co founder and CPO of Good Gist. We build Good Gist to help professionals save time by using AI agents to automate routine tasks like email triage, scheduling, data entry, document processing, research, and more. Today, I'm joined by Mark Lewis, Vice President of WMS Solution in Redwood Logistics. Mark focuses on warehousing and WMS technology to help companies solve challenges while also leveraging Redwood's larger portfolio of logistics solutions and services. Prior to joining Redwood, he held key leadership positions, including Oracle Cloud Director at PwC, Council Member at JLG, Senior Director of Client Solutions at Transportation Insights, etc., etc. Beyond the logistics, he's passionate about network design, sales and operations planning, material handling and automation, business development, practice leadership, executive advisement, etc. Mark, it's great to have you here. You have built quite a reputation in the logistics and supply chain space. I would love to start with your journey. What led you to join Redwood Logistics, and what's been the driving force behind your leadership since joining Redwood?
I think the short version of that is I have always liked moving things, getting goods to market, and figuring out how to do that better. And I never really wanted to focus on a specific aspect of it. I rather like the whole journey. And you laid out some of the positions I've had before. But I think coming to Redwood, and I joined Redwood about 2 years ago, the fact that Redwood is a 4PL and we actually manage freight for other companies. We have our own warehouses. We run warehouse management software and TMS software for ourselves, in addition to implementing for other people and managing for them. So we literally use use what we implement. We use what we consult to. So not only do I get to focus outward on other clients and our customers, et cetera, I also get to focus inward on how we're doing our own operation. So it's for a jack of all trades in the supply chain like me, it's a perfect fit.
Yep, yep. So, Mark, what caught my attention is that Redwood is not a 3PL but a 4PL company, right? And from my research, I found out that beyond the 3PL services, it also act as a trusted partner for your or trusted advisors for your customers. Can you delve a little bit more into that? How Redwood helps or your team helps your customers and in this advisory role or in these advisory services?
Sure. And I think I alluded a little bit to it in my previous answer. I have been on all sides of this. My first job was as an industrial engineer in a steel tubing plant, a steel manufacturing plant. You're delivering, you're doing that piece. I have sold material handling equipment. So I've been in sales and implemented the hardware. I worked for Oracle for 15 years. I've helped develop the software and implemented that software. On the logistics side of it, a company like Redwood uses all of that, right? And we needed to run our own. And that's what a thinking about it as a manufacturing operation, but a 3PL starts from trucks and warehouses. Let us be your third party distributor. That's third party logistics, right? What a 4PL does is we take that third party and we overlay everything I just said. We then are looking across the board at not just your warehousing, not just your logistics, and not having to do things as a service. Obviously, that's a core product of ours, is servicing that and doing it as a service. But if you need a warehouse management package, that's my area of specialty. If you need that implemented and you want to buy it, but you need a trusted partner to help you find out which one is the best fit for you, we do that. We do software selection, people. Do you need help in getting goods? And obviously the tariffs and trades is just going wild right now. I don't want to go too far into that, but that's what we do. A number of our warehouses are on the border. You need help getting it across, we'll help you get it across, whether that's via your software and our consulting expertise, our warehouses, our software, we don't care. That's the difference between a 4PL and a 3PL.
Yep, it's very good to know. The logistics and supply chain industry, when I talk to our customers, we have a couple of customers in this domain. It is undergoing a significant changes over the years. From your perspective, I mean, if you look at it in 2025, from your perspective, what are some of the most impactful shifts that you have observed over maybe last couple of years, right? And how has Redwood stayed ahead in such a dynamic environment?
Most immediately, we've had conversations about that. I do think right now, within the last year or two, certainly the introduction, and I mean, I'm supply chain, right? I'm logistics and supply chain. AI has been around for a while, but it's like Chat GPT and other things like that. But you're seeing it, if you know this, but it is absolutely everywhere in supply chain right now. I would say right now, applying AI, whether you have an existing system that's 20 years old and finding out how to, if you will, bolt something on, I need to leverage technology, or you're looking at implementing new, you would not consider implementing new software that didn't have some AI in it. Because in logistics and supply chain, it's very similar to cloud architecture 10, 15 years ago. That I would say before AI, it was moved to the cloud. We're still doing that. That's still going on. But I think that's de facto, right? We're on the back. People are 80, 90% of the way there. AI is on the upswing. We're in that the start of that hype cycle, if you will. But it is absolutely everywhere. And I would say that comes up in every conversation I have. In fact, it came up this morning with one of our clients is how I need software. In this case, it was warehousing software. What factors should I look at? I said, well, you've got to look at what they're doing with their AI on their architectural level, not necessarily what they're doing right now, but architecturally how they're planning on using it. Because in real basic stuff, put away, wave creation, product slotting, and this is just in the four walls. You could go to route optimization, carrier selection, etc. Outside the walls, there are algorithms that were there that exist in what I'll call the old software. They're pretty good. I mean, they're not bad at all. They've really optimized it, but they cannot make those real time decisions on unstructured data, which is everywhere in supply chain. We have a lot of unstructured data. They can't do it. All of the algorithms are moving towards an AI, and I would say, well, that's the topic du jour right now for sure.
Absolutely. I think you kind of hit the right point there. It's about processing the unstructured data and giving the companies a structured output, right? Because executives in companies, they understand the structured data more well, so AI can actually handle the unstructured data instead of pushing that to the executives and giving them a structured output from the data. Very, very good point, Mark. Let me go into this. Is kind of a little bit maybe a moonshot question. We've been hearing a lot about the dark warehouses, right? Where, the humanoid robots are basically taking everything almost in the dark warehouses, right? There is no light, only the robots are working over there. Do you see that as a possibility in near term or long term? And what is your thought on that? Do you expect that people will be moving into robots taking over the warehouses?
Taking over is a bit strong. Like anything, and I remember when RFID came in, they're like 20, 25 years ago now, when Walmart was championing, we're going to have an RFID chip on pieces of gum and stuff like that. And while technically you could do that, the practicality of the application just doesn't warrant it. It's not worth it. I think you're going to see the same thing. We're going from, say, in the 1970s and maybe even into the 80s, when there really wasn't very much automation at all in warehousing and or manufacturing. And with the improvements in software, the improvements in computing power, and now AI and things like that, and connectivity too, it's much easier to talk to machines than it used to be. You're going to see a lot more of it. You are. It's still going to grow, and quote unquote, the machines are getting better. To go completely dark, to go fully automated, takes a lot of standardization. I don't care what they say, it still will for the foreseeable future. A lot of standardization, a lot of repetitive tasking, etc. And for certain warehouses, I actually remember a tire distribution warehouse close to 15, 20 years ago that was dark, fully automated. Nobody. So it's been there, but remember, it's tires. It's a very limited number of SKUs. You can't do that in a retail warehouse right now. You can put a lot of automation, but you won't see completely dark in the foreseeable future for most places.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That let me ask you a personal question. In one of the podcasts that I was talking to a logistic company's CEO, when I asked him about the usage of AI in his personal life or in his day-to-day work, this is the example he gave. If you ask me 4 months back how much time I was spending in Google, was like, okay, 100% of the time I was there, right? But now it has come down to say 70% of the time I go to something like chat gpt, and rest of the time I go to Google, right? It has from almost 90 to 10 or 100 to 0, it has gone to like 30 to 70. Do you see that in your personal work on day-to-day basis? Do you use AI on your day-to-day work?
Absolutely. And I would agree with basically what he said because we're always going out there looking up a topic or trying to find. I did a little bit of that, looking, preparing for this. And even if you use Google, the first section of Google now is Google's AI, and it, oh, that's really cool. And you click on it, then you can drill down into the source. But I would equate it to, yeah. So the answer is yes. But it's sort of like if you remember, you don't remember, you're not old enough, but back in the 50s, 60s, and say even into the 70s, when people were talking about home automation and computers in the house, anytime
Mhm.
they'd show you that, it would be like a room and the computer is this big, right? It's huge. It doesn't look like that, right? We have fully automated homes. You never see the computer. So what I'm probably not even aware a lot of times when AI is creeping into my daily use. And I think if you look forward just 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it just will be, and you won't even know it.
Yep. So I totally agree with you. But my follow up question on that will be what I see when I talk to these different industry leaders. They talk about there is one concern among almost every employee right now is that is AI replacing their jobs? Some of the jobs will be redundant, or is it going to be that way? But when I talk to leaders like you, everybody agrees that AI is an enabler. It's basically at whatever level you are in your corporate journey, you or in your work, you'll be better off using AI or adapting to AI to kind of use it as a productivity tool, right? A lot of people actually, leaders like you that I talk to, they see AI from that perspective, that it's a productivity tool. You can do more, not only more, you can do stuff more efficiently, more accurately. Do you see it in the same way in organizations like,
Yeah,
for
I mean,
example?
100%. I mean, yes, that's what AI does. As I mentioned, put using it in, say, I'll use a simple example, put away in a warehouse, right? You still need somebody, unless you build automation like we talked about earlier, but let's assume we're not doing that. Somebody's got to make a decision on where to put that product. You grab it, you look at it, right? Now, a human only has limited knowledge. You can go stick it away, but you're not going to do it very efficiently. So we bring on the WMS and we do old school ladder logic, if then else, do this, et cetera. And that's fine. That's a lot better than a person who doesn't know, but it's still very static. AI on top of that and say, find me, just literally, find me the best spot for that right now based on what's in the work is in the well, what I've got coming in, the jobs I need to do. Think about all of that and tell me where to put it. It doesn't replace the person, but it does make things faster and more efficient. And in general, that's how I see it being applied across the board.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you are absolutely right on that. And that's kind of the same answer or vibe that I get from all the industry leaders that I have talked to so far. Let me get into the automation space itself. Like, and let's talk a little bit more about automation. In the software field, in the software automation, yeah, it has always been industry wanted more and more automation, and we are at a point where we are moving from our last generation like RPA softwares where everything was rule based, and now we're the reason I started Good Gist was that my belief that AI should adapt to your process, not to some rules. AI should actually b- see what is the process and adapt to that process, and we are seeing with our customers that AI can do that. So I see a shift from completely rule-based automation like the RPA vendors does versus the agentic AI automation, where the agent learns continuously based on the data that you feed or based on the work that you feed into the system, right? So do you think that will be a shift in the automation space? Do you think more and more people getting more used to the agentic way of doing automation rather than doing the rule based rigid automation that we saw so far.
Yes, I hedged just a tiny bit on that. I mean, again, AI is just a tool, and I use that example about tool, but think about freight optimization. I need to build a route. There are some really, really advanced transportation packages out there that can take all that and build a route. But it is, I don't want to say it's ladder logic, but it is you put in the rules, it spits out an answer. Heck of a lot better than do it manually, but we also know that it's not real time, and no matter, and it's based on how you structured the data going on and gave it to it. So we'll be suboptimal, definitely. Where you lay an AI on there, somebody's still got to train that AI, but again, it's just another tool, but it'll just be in there. I do suspect in things like those two examples and wave planning in warehouses and task assignment, within the next few years, almost all of that will have moved over to AI, just because it's cleaner, it's easier, and it's faster.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what we are seeing with our customers too. They are moving into more agentic approach than the rule based automation, because number one, they don't know the exact rules, and exactly the freight forwarding example that route optimization and all these are depending on the live conditions, and so the AI has to adapt to that. Yeah.
Also, that is actually interesting because you're exactly right. Of course, we do route optimization. That's one of the services we provide, but we are leveraging in some of the various softwares that we use. They have AI built into it, and we're using more and more, and we're bringing on partners. I'm on this call, but the end result is just getting that answer and helping people move along. And just like not everybody needs to know how to program, not everybody needs to know how to program AI, but they do know how to use it and leverage it in their day. And that, I think, is you're going to see that striation.
Absolutely. I want to make a shift towards one program that we are running, which we call as the inbox to impact. I mean, we all have been using emails for ages, and every executive, every employee spends a lot of time on their emails, right? The emails may be summarization of the email, or merging the email, or a lot of companies are conducting business over emails. They get the invoices over emails. They get the you know KYC documents over emails. I mean, different kind of documents, right? So in the logistics industry and in supply chain, like let's say you are getting all your manifest file, the bill of lading, arrival notice, all of those over emails, and what we are seeing that the customers are getting benefited from are that they are just connecting our agents to the emails and the agent processing end to end. Do you see that as a big impact? I mean, those kind of use cases as a big impact on the supply chain logistics industry?
I think it will be a tool in the quiver. Right now, if you are business to business, you've got automation there to a certain degree. But let's do 80-20 rule. 80% of the people, companies are too small to invest all that money in automation. So you're right. They're sending emails back and forth. And at best, you get a link to push, which takes you to something. One of the companies I used to work at, one of the areas that and we did pay an audit for people. And man, that's emails all the time. Here's what we did for you. Here's your bill. And it's either in an email or maybe an email attachment. And it was a manual process to grab that, put it in. And at the time, we wrote some custom code trying to do that. That is, and in fact, in doing some research, that is an area, and I don't do that as much anymore, but I did notice that specific application, taking emails, unstructured data, putting it into a form where I can take an action against it, is part and parcel. Well, it's what AI does. They take unstructured data, find the right stuff, find the commonalities, and take an action against it. That's probably A1A for what AI does.
Absolutely. So further into this use case, what we are seeing is that when you are processing sensitive documents like invoices, or your, AOL, sorry, BOL, and arrival notice and all those kind of things, it's very sensitive. So they want the AI to, I mean, what we have built for our customers, what we call as the human in the loop. So whenever AI sees some gap, or say, for example, it is supposed to extract 14 fields from a bill of lading. It just could, there are some field missing or something.
Yeah.
So then the agent automatically brings a human into the loop, saying that, okay, review this, this is what is missing, and all those kind of things. So more and more I'm seeing in different, not only in supply chain, but in all different domains, that it is essential to have the human in the loop in any process. I mean, there will be exceptions. There will be a few unknown scenarios where the agent should be intelligent enough to bring the human in the loop. Do you see that in supply chain in your?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of discussed that a little bit earlier. People aren't going away. They're just
Yeah,
not. They're well. Think about it right now. I mentioned Google. Now I know we're early in the process, but I get a Google result. It's not right. I mean, it's the AI that they're using. I look again. Yeah, that's not right. I know. I know that. So now I know that's rudimentary and that's a different thing. But even in applied situations with machine learning, where it's doing it over and over again, with some level of structured data, even it is not going to be 100% accurate. They're not in the not while you and I are around. Let's put it that way. Not for years. It's working that way, and maybe if you want to go all Star Trek on it, it might. But we're not going to be here for that. So for now, you still need people in the system. We'll see how much.
absolutely. So, that brings up to my last question. I mean, a lot of guests that I talk to, especially in industries like yours, they are saying we are just scratching the surface, right? AI it's just kind of scratching the surface. It has not gone deep enough to, make a significant impact. I mean, there it is making impact, but it has not gone enough yet. It may be from the adoption side, from the technology side, whatever it is, but their estimate is that, okay, we are just scratching the surface right now, right? um, do you agree with that, or do you kind of echo with that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting this. No, there's absolutely no question. There was an article I was reading the other day on this. I think it was Gartner, but don't quote me on that. It said something like 95% of all the decisions that are made in industry are in some way automated right now, which sounds about right, strategic, but only about 10% of those have anything to do with AI right now. In the
Absolutely.
next 10, 15 years, that's going to completely flip flop. It will be 80% of them are done by AI.
Yep. Well, Mark, it was great speaking to you. I mean, it was a pleasure talking to you in this, and I learned so much from this, and hope our audience will also get a lot of knowledge from this podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to join this and doing this for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.